Well, I guess Jadis got her wish and she will get to lay with him after.
Rick Grimes' final episode, The Breakdown.
Before we get into it though, make sure to subscribe below on the YouTube channel. Also like the Facebook page, follow all the social channels below, and also make sure to leave a comment, let us know what you think about this video, and anything else you want to say. Cheers, first of all.
To the successful livelihood of Rick Grimes. Continuing.
Yeah, he didn't die, which thank God, because I just don't know, honestly, if I could have kept watching the show knowing that he was dead for sure. Our buddy Trent, another Rick Grimes cosplayer, actually made a prediction last week at Walker Stalker saying that he was going to get blown away and then, like, float down river, which I thought was ridiculous at the time, but he turned out to be right, so cheers to you, Trent. So yeah, this was a really, really good episode. It's actually probably like one of my favorites of the whole series.
Also, cheers to me, because I've been saying all along, no spoilers, that Rick would get flown away, literally, in the helicopter.
Yeah. I mean, they did put a lot of emphasis and hints into the whole helicopter thing. I started to get a little bit more confident in the helicopter theory when he hallucinated the crows, like, turning into helicopters. That seemed to be a pretty strong hint.
I think if they wanted to keep it more in the wraps, they should have, like, not shown any of that helicopter stuff at all in, like, the previews.
Yeah.
But because we've seen the helicopter before, or rather Rick had seen the helicopter before, it's like, yeah, he's gonna get flown away and rescued.
So the things I really liked about this episode, I mean, first of all, like, the acting, obviously, like, Andy's performance during this whole thing was pretty amazing. From right off the bat, the get-go of him, like, pulling himself off of that piece of rebar in agony, that was, like, painful to watch. And just, like, his whole, the interactions that he had with the characters from the past, I thought were really meaningful, particularly the one with Scott Wilson. Not just because it was, you know, a good acting moment on both of their parts, but because, you know, everybody knows that Scott Wilson passed away. And this was actually probably the last thing that he did, acting-wise, before he passed away. So it was sort of a bittersweet moment to see that on screen.
That was his last acting.
Yeah, I think it was. So that was a really special thing, and I'm glad that they caught that on camera. I really liked the little subtle changes they made to some aspects of, like, the flashbacks. I mean, I didn't actually notice the thing with the doors the first time around, how when he's going through the hospital, and originally it said don't open, dead inside. They crossed the don't out and put dead outside.
Yeah, I noticed the don't part being crossed out, but I didn't notice the outside crossed out.
Yeah, I didn't see that either the first time around, so that was pretty interesting. The only thing I thought was kind of weird, I felt like Sasha's appearance was really out of place. Like, that kind of bugged me. I mean...
Well, one, Sonequa wasn't even actually there. She was at a different location filming. But I believe, or rather, I was told by another fan, Danae, that Stephen Ewan was asked, but that he turned it down. He said that Glenn's story was done. It's like, well, it's not really... It wasn't like it wasn't a continuation of sorts. It was more for Rick's send-off, which I think, if that's true, that's a huge missed opportunity. I think Glenn would have made the most sense, but I also think other characters would make more sense than Sasha, like such as I would have taken Abraham over Sasha. I think would have been better. When Abraham wrote on that map to Rick, like, the world needs more Rick Grimes.
Yeah,
that would have been fitting. I think Deanna would have been fitting, someone else who wanted to propel Rick as a leader.
Yeah.
I don't know if Chandler was asked or not to come back as Carl.
Probably not.
Obviously, that would have helped fit in with the whole I'm looking for my family thing. I think that having Carl there also would have made more sense. And I would have even taken Bob over Sasha. I just don't feel like Sasha and Rick had a connection.
Yeah.
Sasha had a connection with Abraham and Michonne, not so much Rick.
That was the problem with it.
Oh, and Maggie.
Yeah. That was the problem with it, was that it was like, because her connection was so loosely tied to Rick, the fact that she even showed up in the first place made it like glaringly obvious that they couldn't get people like Steven. You know what I mean? It like almost highlighted that.
Even Tyrese would have been better.
Like, I feel like they should have actually just kept it to like just the two, like instead of adding like the third with Sasha, you know, just with Shane and Herschel, because
no, they could have had a third. It just, I don't think she was the right candidate.
Well, I know. I mean, like, if they couldn't get somebody who made more sense, they should have just kept it with the two.
Honestly, I would have taken even the governor over Sasha.
Well, yeah, he said a lot of things. He showed up in
Tyrese's final episode. Actually, I would take Tyrese over Sasha, too.
Apparently, too, they had filmed a scene where Negan rose up out of the bodies and said a bunch of stuff to Rick.
Yeah.
That would have made a lot of sense, too, because he questioned Rick's leadership all the time. Not only as a leader, but also as a father.
But also, yeah, and that also the work is further proof that Rick was hallucinating because he thinks Negan is dead.
Exactly.
Because he wasn't there to stop him.
Yeah, I didn't think that the Sasha thing was, like, very well done. I think that was a missed opportunity. I would have liked to see Negan a lot more than Sasha, and I don't understand why they cut Negan in favor of Sasha. That's a strange decision to me. Which, okay, brings you back to the Shane conversation. I loved that scene. I think that was probably like my second to favorite scene of the whole episode. It was just so fun to see John Bernthal and Andrew Lincoln interact again.
It was one of my favorite scenes of the series, honestly.
Yeah.
Because those two are just...
They have such good chemistry. Yeah, they play off one another so well. Like, their conversation seems so natural. Like, they're just great together.
I wish it had been longer. I know Shane comes back again to, you know, tell Rick to get up. But I think, honestly, it would have even been good for me if instead of Sasha, they had just reused John Bernthal for that pile of bodies scene.
Yeah, like, that would have made sense, too.
Because he could have been like, well, I was the first one down, Rick. You know what I mean?
I'm the first one up now. Yeah, he did all sorts of banter.
That's the first person, well, no, that's not the first person Rick kills. What's the first person who, like, really matters to Rick? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think Rick keeps a body count like Carol at all. But I think having Shane be there for that would have been more sensical to me. Sasha just seems so wrong.
It just seemed, it was random.
If Sasha has to show up at anybody's, like, recounting, repass or whatever, Maggie would make sense. Mm-hmm. Also, Negan would make sense. Yeah. But Rick just doesn't, it just didn't feel right.
Oh, the line that Shane said about, like, oh, how's my daughter doing? She's got my eyes.
You know, Rick was like, yeah, she's got your nose, too.
Oh, the
and
banter.
The ears comment.
It was just...
Well, the ears made made it real because John Bernthal actually made comments about his own ears.
Clowning on himself, right?
Well, that's part of the reason why he had trouble being a leading man, because he doesn't, like, the nose and the ears, like, he's just commenting on this.
They did a great job with the dialogue in that scene. I thought it was just, like, spot on.
That was flawless,
I honestly don't think that they could have done it any better, that scene.
Except for have more Shane.
I know. I was upset that it ended so fast. I mean, it probably was actually, like, a 3 or 4 minute scene, but it seemed like a minute because it's so, like, fun to watch them talk. I mean, it felt like you were right back in the cop car in the first episode, you know?
I think the only thing I would have changed would be if I had any iota of control, I would have had, if they couldn't get Chandler for whatever reason, I think it would have made sense with that scene with Herschel and Rick in that barn. They look out towards the window. They should have seen old Rick and Carl sitting there talking about you're gonna lose people. Because that's part of the theme of that episode as well, is losing people, losing family. Mm-hmm. And I think that would have tied
and finding
nicely.
New family.
Yeah, and that would have tied in nicely to it, I think.
Another really interesting thing that Shane said that I kind of never really, like, looked at it this way, but it sort of added, like, a new meaning to, like, the crazy Rick moments. Like, you know, when he hacked Gareth apart with the machete, right? And when I loved how Shane, like, said, like, oh, that's, like, the me and you. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, like, that's the kind, he said, dig deep and find the rage and the anger, like, the way I was rageful and angry. Like, they almost, like, redefined what those scenes meant. That was the Shane coming through in Rick.
Well, it's always been true because...
I never thought about it that way, but it makes a lot of sense.
I did think about it that way, and I'll tell you why. Because when he kills Shane... And even though he killed those guys at the bar, that was more out of necessity.
Yeah, that was self-defense.
Rick was willing to take a lot more liberties in terms of taking a life after Shane. Mm-hmm. And it was like he was baptized in Shane's blood.
Yeah.
And we see, like, this different version of Rick emerge after that point. So I definitely agree.
You ripped that son bitch's, we bit that son bitch's throat out, or whatever he said, you know?
I don't think Shane would have done that, though.
I don't know what he would have done.
I don't know what he would have done, but I don't think he would have done that. I'm not sure. I think that ending his hallucination with Michonne was the right choice, the perfect choice. And that, him visualizing her in that way made the most sense. The only thing I didn't agree with was, I think, I know he's hallucinating everything and she wasn't really there at that point, but I just wish the last kiss that we see them on screen
was real.
I just wish, no, not real, but even just better. Just more, a bit of a linger or something maybe, or I don't know, just maybe I'm just being nitpicky as a Richonner, as a passionate Richonner. I just thought, I even said that to you.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weak kiss, but I don't know. There was like part of it though. I guess like the reason why I justified it was that like he's barely conscious and like hallucinate. I mean, he's like lost so much blood and stuff. I feel like you wouldn't like really have the wherewithal to like engage in a. You know what I mean? It was like her kissing him. He didn't really go for the kiss. He was just accepting the kiss because he was so out of it. I'm
not, blaming one actor over the other. I'm just saying, in general, I felt like it should have been a lingering kiss, especially since that's the last time we see them interact as a couple, even though it's a hallucination for Rick, but that's the last thing that we get to see, and I just wish it had been more oomph to it. Actually, I demonstrated on him when I said that earlier, like, it just should have been a little bit, I don't know. But that being said, Michonne's reaction to believing Rick's dead, anybody who saw the live reaction, no, I mean, I didn't outwardly cry, but there was definitely pinpricking, like seeing her, reaction, like collapsing, like I thought that was really powerful. Yet another performance on The Walking Dead that will get no acknowledgement by the Ebates whatsoever.
And even though I hate Daryl, I don't even try and hide it now. I just openly admit I hate Daryl. Even though I hate Daryl, I actually was like moved even by Norman Reedus's reaction to that. Like he looked more real in his acting, like in that couple seconds, than he has in like the last 3 years for me. I mean, they like did that close shot on his face where you just like see his heart break, where he like actually believes Rick is dead. He actually kind of had like the opposite way of reacting than like Michonne did, whereas Michonne was like really vocal and like screaming. He just like collapsed in on himself and just like dropped his head and just walked away. Like he can't even like process it right now.
Like I wonder if we're gonna see him burn himself later.
Maybe the way that like he did with Beth, right? Something like that. Yeah. I would totally buy that. I thought that was great. I mean, I don't like Daryl, but that was good acting. And I actually felt bad for Daryl for the first time in about 3 years.
I'm wondering, I know they're going to do this time jump, but I don't want to be cheated out of Daryl's grief or Michonne's, Carol for that matter, who also had a close connection to Rick. Yeah. I don't want to be cheated out of those moments. So I hope before they go right into the time jump, there is some kind of reflection as to what just happened to all of them, to the group. So we'll see about that. But
and one like final thing too, like the whole Judith Grimes thing. I like it. I have a couple issues with it. Like, first of all, I thought that like way that she introduced herself was like a little bit cheesy. Like, she said Judith Grimes the same way that, like, James Bond would introduce himself. Like, the name's Bond, James Bond. She literally was like, Judith Grimes.
Yeah, it was like, she was making an announcement, like they were supposed to know who she was.
That's not how 10-year-olds talk.
I think it would have made more sense. She's like, I'm Judith, and you should talk to my mom. You
know what I mean? That would have been more, like, the realistic way a 10-year-old would talk. Also, dude, she's got Rick's gun. I'm sorry, but just like that thing is a cannon. Like it blows back like full-grown men's hands when they fire it. Like the idea of a 10-year-old girl having that gun is so implausible to me. Like if she fired that thing,
it's heavy.
It would blow her like off the camera, like out of the frame. Plus,
it's just an impractical weapon. It's
like
heavy,
5
it's bulky,
pounds. Yeah, it's like a 5-pound gun.
She's like 20 pounds, so that just doesn't really.
I thought that's a little silly. If anybody should have that gun, it probably would be Michonne. It certainly wouldn't be Judith. Like, it doesn't even make sense that, like, Michonne would, like, allow her to do that. Like, to me, I feel like she would have taken that gun and, like, had it put on a mantle or something as, like, an heirloom, you know, like, of Rick. Like, nobody gets to use it. It's not even a practical gun to be using in the apocalypse anyway. It should just be a memory.
Since Michonne's not really, guns aren't really her thing. Like, I know she can shoot, but it's not really her thing. If I were to give that gun to anybody, if Michonne were to keep it for, Judith as an adult, or Richonne Jr. as an adult, I'd say Carol. Carol's handy with guns. Carol had that was like, Carol and Rick were very close.
I actually think Daryl might be a good choice too.
Daryl doesn't shoot either.
But he went out of his way to get that gun to give back to Rick. Remember? There's like a connection between them because of that gun. Remember the Savior? His name was like Tommy or something. He had Rick's gun during that whole thing. And then he killed that Savior and he took the gun off. And then when he gave it back to Rick, that was like when they like bonded again and saw each other for the first time. They had that emotional moment.
If we're going by that, Carol gave back Rick's gun first at Terminus.
Okay. Fair enough.
and Carol actually uses guns.
Yeah. So, I don't know. One of those. Either one of them would have been fine for me. Anything more about this episode?
Just spoiler alert. And this is not confirmed, but I've been hearing that we'll see a little boy for Richonne Jr. in the upcoming episode. So nothing is confirmed. I will be very disappointed if this is not true and there's no child whatsoever. I'll probably throw something, but we'll see. Also, Brandon will be leaving me. Leaving Chicago. And I'll be back in San Diego like after the mid-season finale. So he'll be doing live streams on Facebook. I'll be doing live streams on YouTube. And
yeah, we might try and figure out some way of like doing both, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that later. That's it?
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe below the YouTube page. Also, like the Facebook page, follow all the social channels below, and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about this video. Let us know what other videos you want us to do. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.